Over the course of just 1 week last June, the World Health Organization estimates 1,300 people in Europe died from heat-related illnesses. The continent's infrastructure simply collapsed under the temperature. Commuters found themselves trapped inside baking metal train cars with no air conditioning, while drivers stuck on highways have to be airlifted to hospitals to survive the heat. The official advice from governments was identical to the protocols used for surviving a blizzard or a tornado: Shelfwarning plus. Transit authorities pleaded with the public to stop traveling entirely. Meteorologists are warning that this is exactly what their models predicted decades ago, and the trajectory is clear. Breaking the 50 degrees Celsius mark, that's 122 degrees Fahrenheit, is firmly on the cards for Europe. Within a few decades, we will look back at the brutal heat waves of the late 2020s and remember them as relatively cool summers. Treating these extreme spikes as passing anomalies is a lethal mistake. Surviving this environment means accepting extreme heat as a permanent, physical barrier to daily life. A major part of the danger comes directly from the built environment. Northern European cities were masterfully engineered for a climate that no longer exists, keeping freezing winter weather out. But that design works like a one-way thermal valve. The dense brick walls and thick insulation absorb the daytime solar radiation and trap it indoors. Because these regions historically rarely needed to cool down, standard air conditioning is absent from residential homes, schools, and even hospitals. The walls built to protect populations from winter cold are inadvertently functioning as ovens during the summer. The highest temperatures hit around midday, but the midday sun isn't actually the most dangerous part of a heat wave. Instead, the real killer emerges after dark. Meteorologists call them tropical nights. This is a strict threshold where the ambient temperature refuses to drop below 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. This animated graph compares a healthy human core temperature drop at night against a flat line of high biological strain. For your body to rest and recuperate from daytime stress, the external temperature needs to drop below 20 degrees. During a tropical night, it stays high, leaving the body unable to recover. When that lack of recovery compounds over consecutive days, your cardiovascular and respiratory systems are pushed to their absolute limits. Massive spikes in heat-related mortality are rarely caused by immediate sun exposure. People die from the inescapable biological exhaustion of the night. Surviving an environment that reaches 50 degrees requires aggressive domestic defense. Northern Europe must adopt the behaviors of the Mediterranean, like shutting windows, doors, and thick blinds to completely block out the sun during peak hours. It also requires shifting daily societal rhythms. Work, commutes, and physical labor will need to move to the early morning and cooler evening hours, with an extended break during the afternoon peak. In places like Dubai, extreme heat forces populations to navigate almost exclusively through a network of artificially cooled, enclosed public spaces, just to sustain daily life. European culture will have to systematically adapt its relationship with time and public space to keep its population alive and productive. Physically redesigning a continent's infrastructure to handle this heat requires billions in annual funding. Properly adapting the UK costs out £11 billion a year. Doing nothing results in $60 billion in annual damages. That deficit is projected to grow to an incredible $260 billion. This severe return on investment logic effectively makes climate skepticism economically obsolete. Massive traditional fossil fuel economies, like Texas and China, are aggressively driving renewable energy investments to secure national profit and grid stability. We will inevitably rebuild our homes and routines to survive 50-degree heat, not necessarily because the world agreed to save the planet, but because we can simply no longer afford the cost of dying.